Anybody who has ever worked at a fast food restaurant overnight knows just how unique some patrons can be. To add another variable to this already great combination, I worked at a 24-hour McDonald's that was directly off an exit, so it was a frequent stop for truckers, cops, drunks, and anybody looking to get hot food in the middle of the night. As you would expect, I met countless characters that I could describe.
You are lying.
I could write a book about every strange and unique human I met while working at that job.
Really?
I've even had some wild experiences with people who decided to have an all-out brawl right in the middle of the restaurant.
Dang.
But none of these experiences
Must be
were scary,
America,
just
waffle
crazy
shit.
to
Waffle
witness, I
house, they
guess.
call it?
Only once in the 2 years that I worked at the restaurant did I experience something that really indeed horrified me. That night started like most nights that I did the overnight shift. I got there at 10, and it was extremely slow. It was always really slow at that time, and then you would get a rush from about 11:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., and then depending on the day, it would be sporadic throughout the night. On this night, I was hoping for a slow night.
Must be like
it was just one of those days when I was not feeling it at all. My car wouldn't start in the morning, and my husband tried to figure it out, but unfortunately, cars aren't his strong suit, so I was without a car.
On
top of that, I felt so under the weather. It happens to me every fall season.
Are you working by yourself?
I felt like a house fell on me, and I just wanted to get under a blanket and pass out, but unfortunately, I got bills to pay. So unless I was extremely sick, calling in was not an option. Thankfully, I was able to take my husband's Silverado truck to work.
Yeah.
A little after 2 a.m., my coworker and I were just hanging out. I ended up getting my wish with it being slow. That night was one of the slowest nights I could remember working. Eventually, my coworker went into the office to do some paperwork. I think that was an excuse to go take a nap or something, but...
I thought the wife was cheating. He said, shit, my husband is away. It's a slow night. Might as well, you know.
I didn't have the energy to call him out. When I was alone at the counter, listening to YouTube on my phone, I heard the bell from the door. It was a peculiar
I don't understand TikTok or YouTube. Come on now.
looking man. He wasn't an old man, but he wasn't young either. Maybe mid-40s if I had to guess. He looked homeless, but not grungy and dirty. More like he was just not put together right. He was shorter than me, but I'm tall for a woman. He couldn't have weighed more than 130 pounds, even with his big winter coat on.
130 pounds, around like 60 kilograms, probably.
He slowly approached the counter. I asked, "Hey there, sir. What can I get you tonight?" The man just looked at me and smiled. I wish I could have a picture of that moment.
It's always been dirty as people.
The look that he was giving me made me so unsettled. Something about the way he looked at me was just not right, and it gave me the creeps before he even spoke. His eyes were so dark that they looked almost black, and his mouth was just open enough with his smile
Is it my
I could
eyes?
see his yellow teeth. Finally, he spoke after what seemed like an outrageous amount of time, and I was surprised at the deep southern voice that came out of this little man, and he said, "Wow, aren't you gorgeous? I thought I wanted fries, but maybe I'll order something else." Yeah, so I know that's weird and creepy, but working this graveyard shift at a restaurant that gets a lot of customers who are under the influence, I'm used to weird attempts at flirting. So I just smiled and said very politely,
Come on, man.
"Okay, sir, well, when you know what you want, just let me know." The man now grinned from ear to ear, flashing his full set of yellow and gray teeth. He set his hands on the counter, and all I could see were his long and dirty fingernails.
Damn.
Trying not to look visibly disgusted, he spoke up again and said, "Forget the fries. What time are you done?" Usually something like this, I would just smile and say I'm married.
Tough woman and he's shot. What the? That's what?
And move on with my life, but I don't know if it was because I didn't feel good or maybe because the guy gave me the creeps from the start, but instead, in an annoyed and aggressive voice, I responded with, "If you don't want to order any food, you can leave."
Dang.
The man started to laugh as if though I told him a great joke. Before I said or did something that I would regret, I turned around and started knocking on the office door. When my coworker opened the door, he could tell that I was visibly shaken.
It's too aggressive. Let's be what I talked to chicks when I was young. Do you want to play football with me? No?
told him about the creepy guy who was clearly in sight, and he smirked because he knew right away what I was dealing with. He told me to go take a break and that he would take care of the guy. Without even thinking or
Let me guess, the homeless man has something to attack the dude.
looking back, I grabbed my coat and went outside, sat in my husband's truck for 15 minutes and just listened to music.
Husband's truck for 15? Why does your husband... Wait.
I had almost forgotten about that creep up until right before I went back inside. I noticed him wandering on the far side of the parking lot with a to-go bag in his hands. I was relieved that my coworker was able to get rid of him, and I decided to wait in the truck for another 5 minutes just in case.
Could have waited in the office. Why is you in the truck? This guy is probably plotting to take you or some shit. Wait in the office, you...
I didn't want this creep to see what vehicle mine was. When I finally got back inside, my coworker looked a little freaked out.
Really?
I asked him about the interaction with that freak, and his answer just really freaked me out. He said in a tentative voice, "I don't know if I should tell you."
You should, bro.
I started to jokingly hit his arm, and I told him to tell me, to which he complied, and he said, "That guy was crazy.
Clearly.
When I came out to take his order, he just kept asking where the girl was. So I told him that you went home for the night, and he started to lose his mind, screaming and swearing.
Really?
I ended up just giving him a free medium fry just to shut him up and get him out of here."
That's too fucking crazy. The other guy was crazy. This guy's crazy.
Then he turned around, and as he was walking out, he said, "Tell Monica I said goodbye.
Monica?
And I'll see her soon."
Monica.
This little story almost made me faint, mainly because I don't wear a name tag at this job. I had no earthly idea how this man knew my name. For the remainder of the shift, I couldn't focus.
Damn.
I just kept looking over at the door, expecting this man to stumble back in, but thankfully, he never
Don't worry
did.
about it.
Close to 4:30 in the morning, I asked if I could leave early. He knew that I wasn't feeling well, and with the creepy guy on my mind, he knew that I just needed to get away.
I wake up every day.
Just to make my night more enjoyable, as I was leaving, it started to snow, and it was the first truly hard snowfall of the season, even though fall basically just started. I was thankful to have my husband's truck once again, and I figured if I just took it slow, I'd be safe. I couldn't have been more wrong. Only about a half-mile from work, I ended up driving into a ditch because I couldn't see the road from the snow falling.
Clearly.
I was all right, and it didn't seem like too much damage, but I couldn't get myself out of the ditch. I called police, and surprisingly, the cops were there in about a minute. I got out of the truck to greet the cop, and that's when it happened. From the bed of the truck, the man from the restaurant jumped out and started to run full speed.
Out of the truck? Wait a minute. What the?
Into the night. The man from the restaurant jumped out and started to run full.
Oh no, wait.
I got out of the truck to greet the cop, and that's when it happened. From the bed of the truck, the man from the restaurant jumped out and started to run full speed into the night.
Well, it's at night, so it's very dark, so you can just get to the truck.
I screamed, and then was at a loss for words. The cop didn't know what to do and started to yell at me to tell him what was going on. I finally told him, and he radioed some other cops, but they never caught him.
Clearly, it's at night.
We eventually went back to the restaurant, and I gave the police my entire story. They looked at the cameras, but it wasn't enough to ever actually catch the guy. The worst part was watching the video of the guy getting into the bed of the truck. It was no more than 10 minutes after my break. He came storming back into the parking lot with the food bag still in his hands. He looked around for a few minutes, tried the door, and when it was locked, he just jumped into the back.
Like I said, fuck it, this is a hot tub.
I'm so lucky I drove into a ditch that night, because if I hadn't, who knows what would have happened to me. The bag was left in the back of the truck with the fries still
Why
in
are you
it.
so desperate?
This guy never even wanted the food.
There's probably a woman out there who's the one to smash him or something.
He knew my name from the start, and he knew when I worked, and he knew the vehicle that I would have.
Why?
This
How?
happened
When?
several years ago, and I'm still not quite ready to work overnights again. Always lock your doors, and please be careful.
Clearly.
Some people really are monsters.
Yeah. Okay, cannot hold this for so long.
This happened in 2004.
Okay, too much energy. It's not scary.
I was a new college graduate starting my career in healthcare at a hospital 2 hours away from where I grew up.
No.
The hospital I worked at was huge. A level 1 trauma center.
Yeah, that's the ones that them dementia psychopaths can be, you know, older people and shit.
I work in a
Well, if you work like
highly
some shit and you're not used to the people.
specialized area. There were only 2 other people at the hospital with my licensure.
That's fucking stupid.
That's
Wait, is it? It's a big hospital, so yeah.
important because we spent a lot of time working alone in our department and had to stagger our shifts for coverage.
Why alone? Shouldn't there be more people since it's a big hospital?
I had the early shift. I arrived at 5:45 in the morning.
Thank God.
Staff parking was several city blocks away from the hospital, and they sent a shuttle to pick employees up.
Oh no.
The lot was surrounded by an urban forest. The city tried to leave as much green space and trees as possible.
Red flag
There
number
was
one.
nothing else near the parking lot at the time. Since I arrived so early,
Yep.
the shuttle service had to be called when I arrived. The call button was located at the shuttle stop, meaning you had to leave your car to communicate with the dispatch.
Yeah.
I was always creeped out because, even though there were parked cars, there were never any employees in the lot at the time I came in. The overnight shift didn't change until 7 a.m. A few weeks after I started working there, I had settled into the shuttle routine and gotten more comfortable. At this time, cell phone service was spotty at best.
Let me guess, someone's gonna wait at the shuttle thing or some shit, or something in her car, or someone looking inside her car while she's walking towards it.
And I didn't own a smartphone, so it wasn't very reliable. One afternoon, when I returned to my car, I found a note left on my windshield.
Okay, close enough.
It read, "Hot and sweet you are." I glanced around and didn't see anyone. I was perplexed, but not really
Even me at school, man, when someone puts more stress on my table than it should be, then I question myself, should I, do something about this? Because if one thing happens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 things will happen. Get rid of one, the rest will never happen.
frightened.
Problems.
Another week passed. I forgot about the note until one afternoon I returned to my car and found a flower in the windshield wiper and another note.
So weird.
This one read, "I really love your dimples. I could make you smile."
What?
What the heck? I had just moved to this town and didn't have any friends beyond the other 2 people in my department. I didn't know
Dimples are way too specific.
anyone else. I did feel creeped out this time
Clearly.
and began feeling like I was being watched or something.
You are.
Early in the mornings, I would park as close to the shuttle stop as possible, buzz the dispatch, and then wait in my car with the doors locked. I often imagined I heard shuffling
Did you know that Ryan Garcia lost? Clearly.
noises like shoes scraping
Can't beat
through
the
the
black
gravel,
man.
and I couldn't see all the way to the dark corners of the lot. When I returned to my car in the afternoons, I carried my pepper spray just in case.
You better.
I told my
Not your pepper spray. It should be something metallic. Like boom boom. Can really hit the motherfucker with. Plus you're a woman, so you can damn near get away with breaking a guy's legs who was stalking you.
coworkers about the notes, and they told me I should tell security.
You better.
I felt a little silly, but I made a report. Security said they would keep an eye out, whatever that meant. I stopped parking in that lot, opting instead to find parking on the street nearer
Don't be so serious, bro. Don't be so serious.
to the hospital, where
They don't pay you enough to be that serious. Don't do that.
there were other people around. Things went fine for the next few weeks.
Yeah, praise the security. Look, I talk too extra.
Until one day I got another note. This time, it was on my car one morning.
One morning. outside your house?
outside my apartment building.
Damn.
In the same scribbly handwriting, it simply read, "Don't be shy." I was so confused. What did this person want?
You're pretty.
Obviously, they were following me, and now they knew where I lived, and probably knew I lived alone. I contacted the police. There wasn't much they could do, but they did make some safety recommendations and said they would patrol the neighborhood more often.
Better.
I took a self-defense class and was hyper aware of my surroundings.
Self-defense class don't do shit. It don't do shit. It don't do shit. Motherfucker is bigger than you and stuff like that. Unless you already keep your distance and always alert like a soldier at war. You will be kind of safe, but then again, you're gonna be tired of being so alert all the time. So a guy who weighs a little bit more than you, when you're a short woman, like skinny woman, you gotta really keep your distance. Or have someone with you at all times, brother, father, something with like.
It was worse not knowing who I was dealing with.
Clearly.
A few weeks later, a woman was found assaulted and murdered in the trees behind the employee parking lot. They caught the guy a couple days later.
The guy you're working with.
I recognized him.
Clearly.
He was a contract painter who had been working in my area.
So he says, I love you. Sa-sa-sa-sa.
The hospital had been remodeling our department, and this painter would come in early.
Okay, the motherfuckers were playing with us saying the security guy was the culprit. No. These motherfuckers are a bit too extra.
Around 6:30 a.m. I made coffee every morning in the break room, and he would come in to get a cup. We made small talk a few times, but never any red flags. Then it came back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he would call me Dimples.
It came back to you. It should have been coming back to you a long time ago. Come on now. I understand baby girl, but Dimples, it's a bit too specific. A little too specific. I like calling girls chicks, but you know.
I shivered. Good morning, Dimples.
Why a hand like that?
I was shocked that he had literally been right under my nose for weeks. I had been totally alone with him on many occasions, and I never suspected anything.
She's the kind of person who says, yo, I cut the joke 2 weeks later.
I don't know for certain that he was the one leaving the notes, but they stopped after he was arrested. Anyway, stay safe out there, guys and gals.
Mostly gals, but guys, hey, you probably get more killed than girls and shit. I said probably. Relax. Come on now. Next.
Like everyone else,
The third story. Hodge twins plug. Let's get into it.
the last few years have been hard. In early 2020, I lost my grandma to pneumonia, and it wouldn't be long before my aunt got sick too and came very close to death herself. It was a lot for a guy my age to handle, but I knew once it was over, I'd be able to see my Faith again.
Yeah.
Now, Faith and I had met in middle school and quickly fell in love. Our homes were too far apart to see one another very often. Her parents were also super traditional and didn't want her having a boyfriend. Besides school, our only constant
Only one of my parents didn't want me to have a GF, you feel me? I got one, got disappointed, but then they realized, oh, it's his life. And I said, once your parents just give up on saying, oh, it's your life, that's when you gotta really think twice. Okay, something bad is gonna happen.
form of contact was the telephone. We'd often talk all night and go straight into school without a second of sleep.
She kinda
And in spite of all the odds, we stayed together. The biggest test of our
Nigga, how do you kiss?
relationship would be
That's how you kiss, bro? You suck, bro. You're probably the last options on earth for her to even let you do that to her. I'll discriminate you, nigga. Be shot. It was weird when I did that. I was about to say something bad, but I gotta be PG.
High school.
PG
Faith's dad bought a
16.
new house even further away. That put Faith into a different school district. Now we would see each other even less. And I was sure this meant the end of our relationship, but Faith refused to give up. By now, we both had computers in our rooms, and we were able to talk and see each other over the internet with webcams. Every day we'd race home from school and
Somebody is cheating, and I know who it is. Do you? Do you know?
talk until early into the next morning. I'd do all my homework during school time so it wouldn't get in the way. Faith did the same, and for the next 3 or so years, this would be our prime
We could do homework while talking to each other, though.
avenue of communication. I think we were only able to move face-to-face a handful of times, and it was hard on both of us. I lost hope more than once, but Faith always lived up to her name and brought me back from the edges of darkness every time.
My lips are dry.
Strangely, despite all the personal sadness that I experienced during the height of the pandemic, Faith and I thrived. Being quarantined worked great for our particular situation. Other than a few hours of school garbage every day, we got to talk uninterrupted all day and night.
Dang, boy, don't you know you can have Skype on your phone? You can have Instagram Live on your phone and not let anyone come in? Facebook? Why you gotta bring a whole laptop on one hand?
Even so, not seeing her in person for so long weighed on me. I was doubting our future together, as I had so many times before. Luckily, by then, the lockdowns had lifted. Her father would be returning to work, but school remained online. This was the perfect chance for us to be alone together, and I was going to take it.
Really?
I brought this up with my brother, and he agreed to loan me his car to go see her. A week later, our opportunity arrived.
Brother, is it
I
you?
drove the 35 miles to her house.
It's
She rushed me
long.
inside and closed the door.
35 miles. 40 kilometers? How the fuck, 1 mile is a bit extra than 1 kilometer, so probably like 36 kilometers. So.
And we held one another tightly for a long time.
Better.
The energy was a bit weird between us, but we overcame it pretty quickly. We rushed off to her room for a little personal time.
I wonder, is the brother the weird one? Is he?
I'd forgotten how great being with her was. Unfortunately, our time together was about to be cut short. I had just left her room. Faith was making us a snack when her dad walked in, and he began yelling at me instantly. Things like, "Where is my daughter? What did you do to my little girl?"
Okay, that's a bit too extra. That's a bit too much. That's too much, bro.
Faith ran into
As a father, just be chill.
the room and tried to calm him down, and it didn't help. In his defense, he'd never actually met me. Crazy, I know, considering we've been together for so long, but
That's way too much craziness, though. I know there's a boy in the goddamn house, but shit. Shouldn't the daughter have told you, yo, this and that, but not willing to accept it?
our relationship hadn't exactly been normal. We tried to explain the situation, but her dad was just too angry to listen. He looked at Faith and I real closely and sneered, and this would be the point when everything came off the rails.
Now you gotta knock him out or something. We just go away from the house or some shit, drive away.
What have you two been up to? His expression was so terrifying
Smashing. They be smashing, bro.
I didn't dare speak, and he looked back and forth at each of us, but we stayed quiet. "Answer me now. Did you put hands on my little girl?" I remember him saying.
First of all, he's in your girl's house. If anyone is threatened, it's the guy who's afraid. Like, yo, come on, man. He drove to your house.
Now, Faith's dad looked at her and asked her if I'd forced myself on her, and she, acting instinctively, blurted out, "No." We loved each other, and we'd been together since 7th grade.
Shouldn't the dad have known?
He knew what that meant, and I knew exactly what his expression meant. He gritted his teeth and lunged at me, and he was too fast for me. I was overwhelmed by his size and power, and he
Okay, that's way too much. That's way too much.
grabbed me around the throat with one hand and lifted me off the ground.
Where's the wife? Did something happen to the wife that he acts so abruptly? I know English words abruptly. Professor.
I was barely able to breathe or swallow. I tried to speak, but he told me to shut up and listen. I don't care if you two met in kindergarten. You're gonna leave here the second and never contact my little girl again. If I ever see you here again, I won't hesitate to kill you.
Easy enough. Bye. Bye-bye. We made so many memories, though. Baby girl, I'm sorry, but your father about to kill my ass. Literally. Not figuratively. I don't know how the hell you say that shit, but literally, come on now. Blood on the floor type shit.
And with that, he let me drop
Did I just say type shit?
to the floor and shouted at the top of his lungs to get out. He didn't have to repeat himself.
Man, you better learn something from MMA. Sorry for pausing so much. It's called the reaction video. Jesus Christ. Search for yourself.
I was already out the door before he finished yelling. I started the car and sped away. I was already several miles down the road before I slowed down. I was shaking so badly I could barely keep hold of the wheel.
Man, you gotta go
The
somewhere.
notifications were going off on my phone, but I didn't care.
Get on Snapchat. Get some other, like, friends of yours. Talk to them and shit.
Odds were high that it was Faith,
Get some deal.
and I was way too shaken to talk to anyone, especially her. Now back at home, I locked myself in my room and tried to calm down. A few hours passed before I got the courage to check my phone. And just as I suspected, Faith had texted and called me at least 5 times since I'd left.
5 times 35 miles? She don't care about you. 5 times? No text messages?
I wasn't sure what to do. I talked to my brother about it, and he suggested that I sleep on it before deciding. It was hard, but I did get to sleep at around 3 a.m. When I awoke the next morning, my mind wasn't any clearer. In fact, now that I had time to rest,
Probably like paralysis dreams or some shit. I don't know what it's called.
I was even more traumatized by what had occurred. I couldn't get Faith's dad's angry face out of
Yeah, it's not traumatizing. No, in my home country, that shit happens a lot. So it's more funny than traumatized. Oh my god, I might kill you. Get it? It's hard for me to be serious in tough situations like that. You wanna fight? You know, shit like that. Yeah.
my head.
Those were some good times.
I honestly believe that he really would kill me if I gave him the chance. I remain in this cycle of indecision to this day. It's almost been 3 years since I've communicated with Faith, and I'm still...
Nah, come on, bro. Are you that white, though? Yeah, well, white people do tan blue. Black people, too. Black people, too. But I gotta search that.
unsure if I ever will. She still sends me texts from time to time, and I read them. It's hard to be out of contact after all the years we've been together, but as long as she lives at home, I'm not willing to risk my life for my family's. I looked into the eyes of evil that day, and I'll never forget it.
So weird.
Faith, if you do hear this or read this, I love you, and always will. But your father's a monster. I suggest you get away from him as soon as possible.
Exactly.
And until then, we'll be doomed to be apart.
Alright guys, I see you in the next video.